this past weekend, I gave a homily where, for the first time in my priesthood, I mentioned IVF because it was very much in line with the readings and everything. And much to my surprise, I didn't get negative feedback per se, but there was one particular person I was talking to about my homily afterwards, and I was like, yeah, I was really kind of going out on a limb there with IVF, and she said I didn't even consider that it was a moral issue. Like, it's
Right.
become such a part of our culture that it's not like it doesn't even cross people's minds that this could even potentially be wrong.
Right.
And I think that's the same way, especially with the abortion pill, right? People are just like, well, it's just medication.
Right.
It's just a pill
Yeah.
that I take. There's no like, and of course, I think unfortunately the pro-choice people have done such a phenomenal job in a negative way in shaping all of the arguments just based on the woman's rights, women's health. Like they don't
Right.
even try to pretend like this is not a life.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and abortion is one thing. It's also the same with euthanasia, especially what's happened in Canada, where it's just care. Euthanasia
It's care,
is just
right.
it's just care.
This is just
You know,
a
medically
medical
assisted dying.
necessity. And of course, that does demonize pro-lifers. Is why are you denying medical care to someone? I mean, that seems cruel. So what do we do? So what do we do in this particular election if this is seems like almost a lost cause almost?
Well, I think we accept that the presidential election is not about abortion this time around, at least, and is not going to affect it almost at all. It's my view, and it also happens to be the truth, that it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy that Kamala Harris is going to somehow pass some sort of national enshrinement of abortion. Total fantasy. She's not getting the votes. I mean, that would be filibustered. You would need 60 senators. You're not getting it. You're not getting what you need. You're not getting through the House. It's just not gonna happen. So I think that if we posit that as our explanation, really a justification for why we're voting for Trump, then what we're doing is we're saying I feel more comfortable voting for Trump than not voting, or than voting for Kamala, or than voting for a third party, and therefore I need to find a justification, and here it is. But I think if we want to engage in a serious examination of what a Catholic is to do in this election, we need to first say, okay, abortion, they're essentially the same. And insofar as they both are essentially pro-choice, and they said both essentially won't affect abortions, put it to the side, and then start to ask the really hard question, which is, well, what sort of candidate is worthy of my vote as a Catholic? Like, I what does my vote actually mean? What does it mean to vote for somebody? Is choosing between the lesser of two evils really all that it is? Is my vote for somebody a declaration of affirmative support for them? What other issues are at play? Leaving it. And by the way, just parenthetically again, President pro-life. How many people were executed during the Trump administration? It's just worth tossing out there.
I don't know. How
I mean,
many?
it's not zero. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look it up, but he.
But how many were executed during Obama? Or how many? I mean, like it's not like
significantly fewer. Significantly fewer. Yeah.
Perhaps.
But either way, again, I think we just need to put the abortion thing to the side for just a second here, because I think there are other questions worth asking about these two people.
Okay, so like what?
Okay, well, so which one respects the dignity of the human person as regards immigration, for example? Which one has, and by the way, it's possible that neither of them check these boxes, but which of any have demonstrated any amount of devotion to the truth? Have demonstrated any amount of desire to inculcate a culture of charity, which of any?
Yeah, I would say probably neither of them for all
right,
of these,
okay, so,
to be honest. I mean,
right, okay,
because
yeah.
such things as immigration policy, there's in this issue, although perhaps a candidate or a person might have the good interest of welcoming the stranger, which is a gospel command that we ought to do, but we can have very different views on how to go about doing that. So to say that we should not have open borders is not necessarily not welcoming, because there could be more to it than that. It's a much more nuanced position, unlike the pro-life position where it's like, okay, abortion is wrong, period, in every case. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I would just say that while I think Harris has done her best to distance herself from the open borders thing, it's just worth saying that a posture of the United States government which says, come one, come all, just walk across the border and we'll take care of you, leads to an increase in illegal immigration, which is a humanitarian disaster for the actual illegal immigrants. So it's not the compassionate policy to say come one, come all, because it's also not true.
Right.
Right.
And we see the other effects with the increase in fentanyl deaths and human trafficking and all the other aspects. So it's a lot more complicated than just a simple soundbite.
Yes.